Islam, Shalom, Hola, Aloha, Osio, Assalamu Alaikum, Bonjour. This is your brother, Zach Bey, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live and in full effect. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I'm dropping new content. Leave a comment, interact. I really appreciate your viewership. Let's jump into it. Oh, I also want to say happy holy day to all the Moors, all the Muslims all over the world. Thank you for all the other nationalities for tuning in. We're jumping into word magic today. I want to read a bit from here, and then I want to jump into the Black's Law Dictionary just to drive the nail home just a bit more. All right, I hope it's legible. I hope you can read it. I hope you can see it. In legalese, I'm going to start chapter 2, word magic, page 35. In legalese, the United States Incorporated, or the United States of America Incorporated, is not the same as the country known as the United States of America Unincorporated. All right. Knowing this fact is essential for understanding this chicanery and how the British monarchy and the New World Order have successfully enslaved the American people without their knowledge. The United States Incorporated, also doing business as the United States of America Incorporated, is a registered and chartered corporation that resides in Washington, D.C., a city-state that is foreign with respect to the 50 states. It's also, if you check the registry of businesses, it's also registered in the state territory of Delaware. All right. And it's also, the state is also held in Boricua, or Puerto Rico territory. All right, all this stuff can be verified and actually checked. Let's continue. The United States Incorporated, also doing business as the United States of America Incorporated, is registered and chartered corporation that resides in Washington, D.C., a city-state that is foreign to the respective of 50 states. Why do you think the United States has a president and a vice president? Corporate law requires a corporation such as the United States to have a president and a vice president. It is right in your face and hidden in plain sight. Excuse me, let me get a better grip on here. It says it's right in your face and hidden in plain sight. The acronym DC stands for the District of Columbia, which is the district that has a radius of about 10 miles. This district houses the United States Incorporated. So when the U.S. government talks about the United States, it often refers to the registered and chartered corporation located in the District of Columbia, a foreign district that does not really have anything to do with American citizens and nationals. In other words, it is not really talking about the country. Be aware that the United States citizen or citizen of the United States are not the same as American citizens or American nationals. All right, that's who we are. We're the American nationals. All right, the real indigenous indigenous people of the land. Washington, D.C. is a foreign district for the reason that it is not part of the, let me see, excuse me, lost my place. It says Washington, D.C. is a foreign district for the reason that is not part of the United States of America unincorporated, just like Vatican City is not part of Italy. All right, check that out. I believe most people know this fact, that the Vatican in Italy is a completely separate city, kind of like how Hong Kong is also a completely separate city, and like from China or Manchuria. All right, so they have like these districts incorporated inside of already established or so-called established corporate jurisdiction territories. All right. According to the book Matrix of Power, Secret of World Control, Washington, D.C., or the District of Columbia, was founded by a powerful Masonic secret society called the Columbians. This district was named after the goddess of liberty, also known as Columbia, hence the name District of Columbia. Because you now know that there are a few different versions of the United States of America, that the incorporated versions are the ones that the U.S. government likes to use. Most like us dig deeper into the birthing process. Let us dig deeper into the birthing process so you can learn how the dark forces and their minions use wordplay and word magic to trick you into temporarily give up your natural rights. Before the invention of computers, when babies were born, hospitals published their birth information in the newspaper. Nowadays, all right, that was a form of public record, like how if you have a common law marriage or estate sales and things like that will all go into the local paper, because it was it's still to this day considered as like a common law record. Right, nowadays, because of computers, the internet, and certain laws, they rarely publish birth information in the newspaper. Instead, they send birth information to the government, and then its agents publish it on certain government sponsored websites. For some examples of these websites are vital records websites. In the United States, shortly after a baby is born, the doctor extracts blood from the bottom of the baby's foot. This process, often called the heel stick test. The bottom of the foot is known as the sole. Keep in mind, it's also known as the sole of the foot. Keep in mind that the word sole sounds very similar to the word soul. All right. This blood test is said to check for a variety of genetic disorders and health conditions. However, is there more to that than meets the eye? According to some researchers, if a baby born in the hospital, they may also take tissue and blood samples from the mother's placenta. Shortly after extracting blood from the sole of your foot, the baby is sent to the government. Wait, excuse me. Shortly after extracting blood from the sole of your foot, the blood is sent to the government so its agents can sequence your DNA to determine your genetic blueprint. Your genetic blueprint is like your fingerprint, because no one has the same genetic blueprint. Because of this, your DNA is the physical proof of evidence that the government can use to identify you. This makes your DNA important for creating your personal file and identification. According to some researchers, shortly after a baby is born, his father and mother are supposed to record his actual birth at a local land recording office and claim that he is their baby. Unlike the father and mother, the government's job is to register the baby's person, which that's legal person, which is the person associated with the legal name on the birth certificate. Keep in mind that to record something is to transfer it into the land jurisdiction, and to register something is to transfer it into the sea jurisdiction. If your father and mother do not record your actual birth after a certain amount of time, usually 7 years, the government has the legal right to pronounce you as legally dead. The problem with this process is that it is based on presumptions, and therefore the government is not being very honest. Please be aware that when the government says that you are legally dead, it does not mean that you, the living man or woman, are dead. In law, you can be alive and still be called legally dead. All right, you have to nail that to your mind. You have to, burn that to your mind. You can be alive and still be considered legally dead. The legal system operates in a jurisdiction that deals with fictional things. This is why the laws of the legal systems are called acts and statutes. Like just like the act just like the acts and statutes in a play. Because of this, many of its acts are unlawful. Keep in mind that just because something is unlawful does not mean that it is illegal. Under Admiralty law, if you are missing for 7 years, you can be declared legally dead. Right along. Hope it's legible. I hope you can see it. All right, this is why people lost at sea are declared legally dead after 7 years. It is important to know that most political and court systems throughout the world today operate under Admiralty and maritime law. Both of these commercial laws deal with commerce of the sea. So when the government is operating under commercial law and it says that you are legally dead on a deeper level, it means that you are dead at sea. The government says this because it presumes that you are a citizen of a ship. Citizenship, also known as a seaman. Furthermore, you are made of mostly water and you were born from a sack of water, the embryonic sac. Because you are considered legally dead, the government can take control of your legal name, allowing the government to legally claim your estate. This process is similar to when people die and their estates are transferred to the people included in their will. This is when you violate their acts and statutes. This is why the government can legally seize your properties and children when you violate their acts and statutes. However, when you rebut their presumptions and let them know that you are not dead, it makes it much harder for the government to confiscate your properties. When you send a letter or writ to the government to notify its agents that you are not dead at sea, but is alive and well, you are correcting your status and removing yourself from their jurisdiction, which is an imaginary territory that exists in a dead and fictional world. After you correct your status, the government now has to acknowledge you as a living man instead of a dead person, legal person. Please be aware that when I use the word man in this book, most of the time I am talking about both gender, male and female. It is important to know that a dead person, which is known in law as a legal person or legal fiction, has no natural rights. It only has artificial rights and privileges. An example of a legal person or legal fiction is a United States citizen or a citizen of the United States, because United States citizens are legal persons with only artificial rights and privileges according to the legal system. They have no natural rights. This is why when you, United States citizen, go to court and shout out to the judge about your natural rights or constitutional rights, the judge will often look at you like you are a fool and may tell you to sit down and be quiet. If you refuse to be quiet, he may charge you with contempt of court, because a legal person, e.g. United States citizens, is a dead thing. the government has jurisdiction over it. On the other hand, the living and breathing man is not dead and therefore has natural rights, which are unalienable rights given to a living man by God. Let's continue to move along here. It says the word unalienable means incapable of being aliened, that is, sold and transferred. According to the Dictionary of Law, 1889, the word unalienable rights means one which cannot be surrendered to the government or society because no equivalent can be received for it, and the one which neither the government nor society can take away, because they can give no equivalent. Of such is a right of conscience. In other words, your natural rights, unalienable rights, are superior to all laws made by the government and cannot be sold. When it says all laws, it's superior to all laws made by the government. All laws made by the government, because governments are made by men, so therefore they are naturally under us. So we are men, and we are under God's law, and governments are created by men, so the governments are under our law. So the fact that in this country nowadays is like the citizens or the natural people on the land, the nationals, fear the government instead of the government fearing the people, we the people. All right, it shouldn't be like that. It's a lot of things are like topsy-turvy, like just turned around, upside down, inside out. Right is left, left is right, good is bad, bad is good. All right, we continue. All right, so it says they cannot be sold, therefore the government does not have jurisdiction over you, the living man. However, when you harm another man or violate his natural rights, he has the right to use the government to enforce justice upon you. All right, this last part is important because that's like de jure law, corpus delicti, like an injured party. All right, so that's all I wanted to read out of word magic at this moment. One second. Put this one mark back up in here. All right, so I hope those concepts are understandable, understandable. I hope you can understand them. I want to jump into Black's Law Dictionary really fast, just a few definitions just to drive the point home. All right, so like I was talking about earlier, and word magic was saying earlier, Civiliter Mortuus. Let's see exactly what that means. It says civilly dead, dead in the view of the law, the condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacities and is accounted dead in law. That's exactly what that means. Civiliter Mortuus. All right. So, not just making this stuff up. That's exactly how they're operating. Exactly why it seems like a lot of people do not have rights. A lot of people are being ignored. Right? Corporate name. I wanted to go over this one really fast. When a corporation is erected, a name is also given to it, or supposing none to be actually given, will attach to it by implications, and by that name alone it must sue and be sued and do all legal acts. All right, that's a corporate name. That's the legal entity, the corporate fiction, the all capital letters name. Pretty much, when you look at like the 14th Amendment, things like that, it says like how corporations are people. That means like you can sue and be sued. All right, and do all legal acts. All right, let's go down to corporation. Very simple. Corporation, an artificial person, it says it's right there, or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of a state or nation, composed in some rare instances of a single person and his successors. See what I mean? So that this artificial person, this legal entity, can be a single person, that's a legal person, a corporate person, and his successors, meaning the name that goes down the line, all capital letters, can be passed down, and that property is always claimed by said state, territories, or so-called agencies acting as governmental entities. All right. And last but not least, I wanted to show you all Corpus delicti. All right, the body of a crime, the body or material substance upon which a crime has been committed, e.g., the corpse of a murdered man, the charred remains of a house burned down. In a depravative sense, the substance or foundation of a crime, the substantial fact that a crime has been committed. All right, so that's like the actual evidence that you can see a injured party when you or when you damage someone's property. That's the corpus delicti. That's de jure law. All right, fam. That's all I wanted to go over today. Black's Law Dictionary and word magic. I appreciate you all for tuning in to me, and I want to end this one today with a quote. All right, quote. He who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. And that's Confucius. Thank you very much. Peace and love. I'm out.